It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Good evening, everyone. Brouhaha time. Marshall Wood, Dale McKee joining together again to talk about sports stuff.
Sports stuff?
Sports stuff.
I like it.
You like that?
Yeah.
You like that sports stuff, Dale?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. You know, we've had some interesting guests the past few weeks. We've had some very full opening segments with things we're talking about. We kind of skipped over the sideline view a little bit, but let's start tonight's program looking a little bit into the sideline view there, Dale, and talk about it. I got my copy in the mail. That old electronic mail.
Yeah.
That's the best kind, buddy.
I forgot what I wrote.
Well, the first thing you said, only the first time since 2008 and only the second time in NCAA tournament history. What?
All four number one seeds got to the Final Four.
Man, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Them guys putting them brackets together know what they're doing.
It wasn't easy for any of them.
But they made it.
Yeah.
Man.
Florida was 12 down to Texas Tech with just a few minutes to go in a ball game, and then they came back and beat Texas Tech, who the previous game had been 12 down to Arkansas with about 4 minutes to go, and they ended up coming back and beating Arkansas. And so, you know,
turnabout's fair play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Ole Miss played a great game against Michigan State, but Auburn proved they were the class of the SEC, I think, yesterday with that win over Michigan State. I think, you know, at the first, you know, I'm just telling you this, though. But, you know, I predicted Houston and Duke and Auburn and Florida, and they're all there. But when you asked me for my overall winner, I said Houston.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure now.
Yeah.
I mean, the most fundamental team I saw up there was Duke. Yeah. And the Blue Jays are like in their 18th Final Four.
Yeah.
And so, you know, of course, they hadn't been to one since 2022, but they probably got the best player in college basketball.
Flag?
Cooper.
Where's he from, Dale? You know?
He is from New Hampshire, a very small town.
A very small state? A very small
town, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
country boy.
Yeah.
He can light it up, can't he? He a freshman?
Yeah. And he should be in high school. He
got out early?
Yeah. He graduated early. You know, like in the summer or the last year, but he...
Man. Freak.
Yeah.
I mean, what is wrong with these people?
Yeah, but it's like Charles Barkley said. He said, you know, he is, you know, he's a great player, but he said, man, it'd be so unfair if he was still in high school.
No kidding. Had to think about that.
Yeah. He'd be getting 109.
You take a guy like that and you can kind of, well, you can, depending on where he plays on a football team, you can kind of blend in a little bit, but you get a guy like that out of 5 out there, but he's hard to miss.
Well, you know, it's always, I've always predicted that that the best player, you have to have a best player to win a championship.
Yeah.
Now, Auburn's got one, but he kind of got banged up yesterday. And I believe that Florida's got a good kid, and I think that Houston has got a couple good kids, but the most, I was really impressed with Michigan State.
Yeah.
You know, they've got some gifted players, but they've been around the whole time. They didn't leave. They didn't go to the transfer portal. They stayed with Michigan the whole time.
Yeah.
And they had 4 seniors. And they were very impressive. You know, to stay that long.
That chemistry, man. They were all bought in, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
That's rare.
Yeah.
Especially
and I think in the end that proved Ole Miss's downfall because Ole Miss is kind of an all-star team that's been put together.
Yeah.
in the last few seconds, these guys knew everybody. And Cooper Flagg, the guy from Duke, he just impressed me with his passing more than he did his shooting. He was hitting that open man. He reminded me of a young Larry Bird, but he's probably a little more talented than Larry Bird, you know.
Yeah.
You know, except on the rebounding end of it. But he's going to be and he's already said he's going to come back for a second year. So that's fantastic.
Wow.
For Duke and for college basketball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't know if we talked about this last week or not. We talked about basketball. Talked about the coach that came back. Did we talk about it on our show last week, Bill, a bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's worth saying again. But anyway, we'll pass over that because we know all of our listeners know all there is to know about that story now. So we'll just pass right on. Anything else out of your what do we call here your sideline view you want to throw out there? What about you got some? I got a little local. Let me see if I can find that little talk about baseball. We had a couple of guys playing, around and only one. But let's see. I had one. Let's see here. I think my friend Wayne Carlisle sent me a text and said, Luke Cooley, who's going to be a guest on this show, and we can get him to give us enough time because he's busy. He pitched 8 no-hit innings with 10 strikeouts against Kennesaw State this week. That's pretty good. 8 no-hit innings with 10 strikeouts. That's pretty decent, ain't it?
I think so. I think so.
Wayne Academy product there. And we had another one, and I wrote this down. Wayne's got a son. We talked about Cameron Carlisle Scooter pitching at East Central. He had 2 starts. They've started starting him some. He's a sidearm guy. They never started him, but they started him some. Let's see here. He's got 2 starts, and he's pitched 8 innings in those 2 starts. He's got 18 strikeouts. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So these kids are lighting it up, man. So, that's we're excited about that. Anything else on baseball or basketball?
I saw we've got some very good teams. Ole Miss is like number 9 in the country. Southern Miss was 13th last week, and they split their 2 games. Southern Miss and Ole Miss won 3 or 4. They beat Memphis, and they honestly beat the Wayne Academy's Connor Pittman.
Wayne County's.
Yeah, he was the losing pitcher on Tuesday night.
They had pitching against
Ole Miss.
Man, they know Ole Miss is good, and they had him pitching against them. That must tell them a little bit of something. Of course, Ole Miss came out on top, didn't they?
Yeah,
hang in there, Connor. We pulled it for you.
Yeah, they beat them like 7-5. But it was pretty good.
Wow.
And then Ole Miss beat Florida 2 out of 3 this weekend, but they're 9th in this week's poll. Southern's 13th. Now, the State's having some trouble. They lost 3 games to LSU this weekend, so they're like 1-8 in the conference. I don't remember the last time Mississippi State was 1-8. In the conference, Ole Miss is 6-3, and I think Southern Miss is 7-2 in the Sun Belt. So anyway, but Ole Miss goes to Kentucky this week, and State's home against South Carolina, and Southern's going to Marshall in West Virginia.
Yeah.
So
you got to watch them Marshallians.
Yeah.
You know how Marshall can be.
But listen, on our little small schools, Delta State's roaring, boy. They like 18-3 in conference and 24-8 overall. And
let's hear about them over in Hattiesburg.
Yeah,
what are they doing? William Carey.
Yeah, and we had a couple rivalry games this week. Mississippi Valley swept Alcorn, a 3-game series, and Mississippi College rolled into William Carey, which is a pretty good team, and they beat Carey 16-11 because
Mississippi College beat William Carey.
Yep, a guy named J.T. Vance from Union, Mississippi hit 3 home runs against Carey that day. Millsaps beat Belhaven in game 1 of our 3-game series. It's called the Maloney Trophy after, was it Con Maloney that had all the, what do they call it? They used to be called circuit cities. And
do you see this look on my face?
Yeah, you're blank. But they got one in Laurel. They got one in Laurel.
Oh, Muskelly's.
No, this is it's got TVs basically, electronics.
Walmart.
No. Forget it. Forget it. We'll go on. I'll think of their name pretty soon. But you know that same. It's Cowboy Maloney's.
Cowboy Maloney.
Yeah, but it was Con that he was he was the guy that
I
owned
knew
it.
you'd get it. I had it, but I just wanted to steal your thunder. I wanted you to be a hero.
Con used to own the Jackson Mets.
What's his name?
Con.
Con?
He was in the legislature.
Oh boy, this gets better and better.
He was in the legislature for a while.
Man.
And Mississippi High School has started spring football.
Shut up.
Yeah, but it's called flag football for girls.
Has that started?
It started this
Tell
past
us
week.
about that. There's how
Well,
many teams?
I just know that the first weekend they were all bragging about George County's quarterback. We were bragging about the quarterback during the football season.
They got him a girl.
They got him a flag football. And
It's not the same person, is it?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But I know that East Central, won like 37-0 over somebody. St. Martin's beat Meridian. And one game, there was a tie. And I know Perry Central was involved in it. It might have been East Central. No, East Central won. It must have been Perry Central, and I don't know who they played. But they tied zip, but they gave the win to the other team based on, I don't know, first downs or yardage or something. So they have a tiebreaker, and I'll have to find out about that.
Well, that's
next
interesting.
week, yeah. And Loris, our spring football season's back, but I didn't see J-Mar on the roster for Birmingham Stallions.
We need to look into that.
Yes, we do. But
We need to
anyway,
we need to check
but
on
Matt
J-Mar.
Corral's on it.
Well, that's kind of probably what got J-Mar, because Matt came on last year.
Well, Matt's Bob just a backup to some guy from Michigan or somewhere, Eastern Michigan. And I saw too where the former Ole Miss quarterback Jordan Tama.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Tamalu?
playing. Yeah, he's playing for the D.C. Defenders out of Washington.
He's been floating around ever since he got out of Ole Miss, hasn't he?
Yeah, and
pretty good.
And they had like 4 Ole Miss former players on that team. And that Jalen Speaks that used to play for Ole Miss defensive end.
The guy that smiled when he recovered the fumble.
Oh, yeah. He's playing for their Michigan team.
Okay.
And so they got teams in Arlington, Texas, Birmingham, Houston, Michigan, Memphis, San Antonio, St. Louis, and Washington, D.C. So
They've been going for what, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, this is actually, I want to say their second year combined with the other league.
Oh.
Remember they went together?
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, they've got games on TV Thursday, Friday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week.
Okay.
Got a doubleheader on Sunday, but they got single games, and you can see them on. You have to surf the channel because I was looking this stuff up. You either got to go to Fox, ABC, NBC, or FS1.
There's so many channels now. I can't keep up
I
with
mean, you
anything.
can't keep up. You don't know where the games are coming on, man.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
they drive it.
crazy. It's madness.
They
It's
drive
mayhem.
it coming. Oh, and we had an interesting conversation too. I don't know if we've mentioned this lately, but Jake Mangum finally made it to the major leagues. He was called up by Tampa Bay Rays. You know, he is the former all-time SEC hit leader from Mississippi State. His nickname was the Mayor, like you.
Well, yeah, I got a sign to prove it. Look at that, it says mayor on it.
He was considered the mayor of Starkville.
Oh, okay.
So they were interviewing him before the game yesterday. Okay, so this is what happened. He's in North Fork, Virginia, playing for the Durham Bulls.
The Durham Bull.
All right, so Durham's down here in North Carolina somewhere. Yeah. He's in Virginia. He gets the call, or he doesn't get the call that the manager tells him in front of the whole team. Said, I always liked saying something, and Jake Main, it's your time, Jake. You need to hop on a plane to Tampa. So what he had to do, though, he didn't have a car, and it was like a 2-game series, so he didn't pack any clothes. So he had to get back to Durham to his apartment. So he took a Uber, 3 hours one way. And he said he had a really nice driver named Angel, and he said that she got him there, and he got in there about midnight. Had to catch an 8 a.m. flight to Tampa. So that was on Friday night. And on Saturday, he had to take the 8 a.m. Well, he's calling all his family, and a lot of us know John Mangum is played football at Alabama with the Bears, and he's from McGee. And that's his dad.
He went to Alabama.
Yeah, that's his dad.
Was there a Mangum that went from McGee that went to Ole Miss too?
Well, his dad, Big John, played up there for a while. Then he transferred to Southern. But Chris Mangum,
that's the one I was thinking about.
Chris played tight end at Ole Miss, but it was his parents' 33rd anniversary. So they drove all night on that Friday night. They left when he called Jackson, and they drove all the way to Tampa, and they got in there like at 8 a.m.
Man.
And so he had 20 people down there to family members and everything. But one of his good friends from Flowood that he grew up with was named Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
And Gardner has just recently signed as the backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I didn't realize he was going to wind. He'd been starting some, and they.
Well, he said on the interview, because they interviewed Gardner and said, "Oh yeah," and they told about Gardner has got like a van, okay, and he goes around. He just drives around
and looks at
stuff. He would drive up to where Jake was playing in the minors, and follow him on a road trip, just to watch him play. I mean, they were that good of friends. And so, but Jake's 29. Not too many 29-year-olds get the call. So the mayor of Starkville has made the majors.
Wow, great story.
Yeah, so I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him.
Well, when it gets to sports, you can talk about sports, you can talk about Mississippi. There's always a lot to talk about. And we're going to have some more to talk about. We're not going to talk about our guests right now, but what we are going to do is we're going to take a break and hear from our sponsor. And when we come back, we'll see what's up. How about that, Dale? Sound good?
Yeah.
All righty. We'll see you after the break. Hang on, everybody. We'll see you in a minute.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. Man, I tell you what, I love my little old job here at the Brouhaha. I really do. Mr. McKee, I'd like to thank you for letting me be a part of this noble endeavor. I really do. I have a good time with it.
You were my first draft choice.
I was a first rounder?
Yep.
Man.
Had my own in college.
Boy, yeah. Here, put these glasses on. You might see a little. Oh, you already got a set on, anyway.
I wasn't interested in looks. One time I was interested in looks is when I was looking for a wife.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's good enough. We're gonna move on. Did you have something? We're not talking about. You had something. You said something now.
I did.
Yeah. What was that you said? It was off the air.
When?
We want our listeners to know that whatever we say off the air is good on
Well,
there.
I asked Mr. Wood a question, and he didn't have an answer. He was stunned, folks. Stunned for the first time that I can ever remember. I said, "Do you know how much legally betting was done so far for the NCAA tournament?"
So far.
We're
still going.
Legal betting.
Okay.
Now this isn't not like your
when you and I made that bet and went back and bet.
Yeah, it's not like an office pool.
Yeah.
Or me and you,
We don't do that.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
No, okay. Anyway, but anyway, it was 3.1 billion.
That's like Uncle Jed, like Uncle Jed would say. That's $1 billion.
And a lot of that was online.
Online betting, billions. Uncle Jed said, I got that new kind of dollar. They called it $1 million. He said, I don't know. He said, I got 42 of them. I don't know if that's as much or not. But I can tell you one thing. That's a lot of money they're betting out there.
Yeah.
I wonder how much was won. Probably not as much as was bet, huh?
I would, I've never... they used to call them bookies back in the day. I don't know what to call them now.
No, I wouldn't know. I don't travel in them circles.
I just heard that comment.
I ain't never heard that word.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Bookie.
Really.
What kind of word is that?
Well, I don't know why. I guess they just book you. They put you in a book. Put your name in a book. I don't know, but to call them bookies. But anyway, I just don't know that. Nowadays it's, they're doing the online stuff and they're doing the casino stuff. And, I don't know, those people may be phased out in time,
You know, there's a lot of betting goes on. I mean, that's just one sport in one period of time right there. You talked about billions right there in a couple of weeks.
And I think Mississippi's trying to get it.
It's a big get what?
I think they're trying to get online betting and legalized.
Okay.
I think they are.
Okay.
Or they have. They've attempted to do it. Now, I don't know if they did it this year or not.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything. I kind of keep up with those legislators.
Yeah, they bear watching, don't they?
Well,
we got some good ones now.
I'm just protecting my pocketbook.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I know how they are.
Oh, no.
You know,
I'm not getting involved in that.
Hey,
I love my legislators. I think they're fine folks. Now, that's Dale McKee, but now.
They decrease, not all of them. I didn't say they didn't like mine.
Some of them.
They decrease the sales tax on groceries. But then they tax us more on gas, per gallon. So it looks like, okay, you're going to pay less, but you're going to pay more in taxes.
Well, now, where did they take it off the first place?
Grocery tax.
Well, no, okay. Would you rather pay less for groceries or gas?
Well, my wife says groceries.
Okay.
But I say gas.
Oh, really?
Me, personally.
What if you going to starve yourself to death? Is that what you're going to do? You're looking kind of light there. You losing some weight now?
No, I'm just listen. I'm kidding about the whole thing, but in the end, it seems like we're going to pay more in taxes.
Yeah.
Even though
well, they're doing away with the state income tax now.
Yeah.
So that's okay too. But
isn't that just for workers?
Phasing out.
For workers.
I don't know. I hadn't read the details because it's going to be phased.
Well,
in.
I'm not working anymore.
Oh, that don't mean you may not have a W-2 40-hour-a-week or however many a week job, but you working. You may not know it, but you working. Hey, you working on the Brouhaha, baby. Uncle Sam's got his eyes on you. All this money you making down here.
I really appreciate those checks.
Hey, listen, I saw something that caught my attention this morning.
Really?
Yeah. Torpedo-shaped bats.
Oh, I heard about that.
I mean, now listen to this. I'll give you the headline. Torpedo-shaped bats. Now, I'm not talking about like the things that live in caves or that we got at the one of them at the middle. Well, I ain't talking about that. Torpedo-shaped bats draw attention after Yankees hit team record 9 homers in rout of the Brewers. Torpedo-shaped bats. What in the world is going on, Dale? Are they firing torpedoes up there or what?
Well, the torpedo is, it's got a fat spot. And they've made the fat spot on the sweet spot for a bat. And the Yankees are the only team that have it.
The Yankees.
But it's legal bat. but the Yankees, like I said, hit like 9 home runs on opening day.
Listen to this. I say Anthony and Jazz just homered in New York's 20-9 rout of the Brewers. Yeah. Man, them torpedo-shaped bats must be the ticket.
Oh yeah, well they were knocking the crap out of them.
How come everybody don't get one?
Well, they will now. I'm sure they'll ask about it. Who we need to be on this show is Jimmy Gardner.
Yeah.
He's an expert on the New York Yankees. He could tell us what's going on.
Well, I tell you what.
Get Jimmy on the phone.
Jimmy, you out there?
Lifeline for Jimmy.
That's right. Jimmy knows everything. He knows a lot of stuff.
He does.
Yeah. But I just thought that was interesting. A torpedo-shaped bat, and I knew you'd be all over. It's got all the dimensions in here. We're not going to ball down there, but it's a concept. Well, how long has this prospect been available?
I have no idea. It's the first time I heard about it was this weekend when they started knocking the ball out.
I bet hey, what kind of bats
I actually texted Mr. Jimmy, and I told him, I said, bombs away. I didn't know nothing about the torpedo bats at the time. I was just saying bombs away in that 20-9 game or what it was. But I'm sure other teams are going to start buying them.
They had our little show called the Brouhaha, and it appears that there was a pretty good Brouhaha happened this weekend at a contest between the Pistons and the Timberwolves. Did you hear anything about that?
No.
There were 5 players and 2 coaches ejected in the second quarter.
Really?
Is that a record?
Could be. I don't know.
5 players and 2 coaches were ejected after a fight broke out in the second quarter of the Minnesota Timberwolves victory over the Detroit Pistons. on Saturday night. Detroit lost its head coach, the center Isaiah Stewart, forward Ron Holland, the second, and guard Marcus Sasser, and the Minnesota lost Nez Reed, guard DiVincenzo, I can't even say that, DiVincenzo, were also tossed, along with assistant coaches Pablo Prigioni. I tell you what, these names, wow, why can't they just have a nice name like Dale McKee or something like that? These are hard names for them. But what do you think about that, Dale? You've officiated some games. What would be the basis for throwing all those people to fighting? Just is that simple?
When you see blood.
When you see blood, you got to start getting rid of them.
You got to start getting rid of them.
All righty. That's a nice little segment there. We talked about the big fight. Where are you on fights, Dale? You like fighting in sports? Do you like fight? Do you like to see your basketball team, or start chesting up folks and getting up in their face? You like that, Dale?
If you're coaching, I don't think you do, because it almost reflects on you a lack of discipline on your team. Because a player's not supposed to leave the bench area. If he's sitting on the bench and the other 5 guys are out there and this fight goes on, the bench people are going to get thrown out of the game before the fighters, because they left the bench and they're going to be fine. But I don't know. I mean, you have to sometime, if it determines on how the referees are calling games. Referees all have they have judgment decisions to make, and it's their own judgment. But when I was back coaching middle school basketball and all that, we had to play within the means of our referees. I would tell the kids now, I said, okay, now these guys call a lot of fouls. I said, you're just going to have to back off a little bit, We may not press them early in the game or something like this after we score a basket. That was our philosophy. If we score a basket, we go into a press, And so we would change our system based on the referee. So, some referees will let you play, just like in football. You see some refs, they let you play.
And you were coaching.
Huh?
You were coaching.
Yeah.
I wonder how many were you coaching junior high? Mm-hmm. I wonder how many junior high coaches put that much effort in it to determine those kind of things, take those kind of things into consideration.
Well, I think you have to.
Yeah, well, you would.
Yeah, really.
I bet you there's some out there that
well, I don't know. Well, I mean, but you have to do it because I remember one night there was we played in a little tournament, and I think it was a county tournament, and the first night of the tournament we playing somebody, and there's 30 fouls called in the game.
30 fouls.
So the next night,
you need to throw some people out of the game.
So the next night, there's 5 fouls called.
Let them play.
So wouldn't you consider that?
Ask you this: if you were you've probably officiated. Are you an official? Have you officiated?
No, I officiated basketball 1 year. I officiated high school football for 10 years.
Did you in basketball? Did you let them play, Dale, or were you one of those guys going to stop them?
Well, the league that I did was like elementary.
Okay.
And so we had to be, we really didn't like to call a lot of fouls.
Boy.
Because if you did, you wouldn't start the next game on time. Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense. And I'm quite certain our seasoned listeners can understand that as well. Let's see where we are on time, Dale. We're about getting close. I do want to throw something out here. It's been kind of interesting to me, and we may have to come back and visit.
That looks like your bank account.
It's a big fat zero. I did an internet search. I'm one of them internet searchers when I can remember how to get on the information superhighway. And I said, what is the why surrounding high school athletics? And you know what? Listen to this. Pages. Listen to this, people. See these pages? I got pages and pages. Look at all these pages, Dale. Pages of stuff. And you know what? I couldn't find anything in there about getting to the next level. Couldn't find anything of all the whys to play high school sports. Not once is it mentioned to get to the next level. And you know what? We got people screaming and fussing because little Johnny's going to be going to the Rebels or to the LSU Tigers or the Detroit Pit or wherever. But guess what? Probably ain't going to happen. How many people from Wayne County, Mississippi, let me finish the question, have actually made an on-field roster that played in games in the NFL?
Well, I would say the first one I ever remember was, and I don't remember him playing, I just remember history. And I met him later in life, was Lowell 2.
Okay, Lowell 2.
Yeah, from Waynesboro. He
went to Alabama.
Yeah, and he ended up playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers, maybe.
Okay, that was baseball.
No, it was football.
Football. Okay.
Yeah, but I talked to his son one day because I wrote an article about.
I went to school with Bill.
Okay.
At Jones one summer.
Yeah. Anyway, Bill told me that that his dad had the apartment right across from Joe DiMaggio.
I wonder if I ever saw him as his friend.
Now, he was a first-round draft choice in that league. That it wasn't the NFL. I don't know what it was called, but he was a first-round draft choice. But the interesting thing about it, they were going to the Rose Bowl when we played for Alabama.
Yeah.
And so they were going to take a train from Tuscaloosa to L.A. And it was going to take them about, I don't know, I think he said almost over a week. Well, his dad had broke his jaw in practice, and he couldn't eat any solid food. The time he got off that train in L.A., he'd lost about 20 pounds. But he still played the game with a broke jaw.
Broke jaw. Man, that's when men were men, boy, you hear me?
But anyway, I guess back to your question, okay, if you count Lowell, and then you... the ones that I know, I guess, would be Jake Allen.
I'm talking about making an active roster to play in games.
Well, yeah, Jake played.
He was on the. He did it.
Yeah, because he played in a game or two.
Okay.
All right, so he got in, and Jarrell got in, and Benito got in, and I'm not sure about if Willie got in or not. But Willie was on 4 teams, practice squads.
But we know of 3 that actually got in a game. Mm-hmm. Okay. That. You could call that making.
But you know, we have a great basketball tradition in this county, but we've never had an NBA player. Now we've had some play overseas.
We're out of time, but I want to make the point here, and we're going to revisit this because we got unreasonable expectations.
Sure we do.
I mean, it's ridiculous. If you think your kid is going to go to the next level, good way to go. I'm happy for you and hope he does, but the odds of it are pretty slim. Listen to this. What are the chances of high school athletes making the transition to college level? We compared the number of athletes participating in varsity sports at U.S. high schools and the number of college student athletes. Overall, a little over 7% of high school athletes, 1 in 13, go to play varsity sport in college, and less than 2% of high school students, 1 in 57, get to an NCAA Division I program. So I just say that to say this. When you're looking, no matter who you are or where you're from, and you're looking at your athletic programs, if you're looking at anything other than having a quality high school experience for your child, you're looking, you messed up. Because you're looking over at the fence at the NBA, the NFL, or whatever, your chances are slim or none at making it. So let's keep our minds about us when we look at coaches around the country, around the state. Understand what they're going through and what their purpose is. It ain't got nothing to do with getting to the next level. And if you do an internet search like I did, you'll find it's got nothing to do with that. It's what you learn from participating in the sport itself. That having been said, we're out of time. I'd like to thank you, Mr. McKee, for all you bring to the Brouhaha. What a great show you put on for us tonight. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wood.
All right. We thank our listeners for being with us. I ask you to follow us on our Facebook page at the Brouhaha. All the shows, including this one, will be cataloged on our YouTube channel at the Brouhaha. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, folks. We'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Del McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.